First up, we got SF 2482, which is the governor's policy proposal. First up, we got Commissioner Dennis Olson, as well as Ms. Oliver. I'll move the A1 amendment. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? The A1 is adopted. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, for the record, Dennis Olson, serve as the Commissioner of the Minnesota Office of Higher Education, and I'll hand it right over to Ms. Oliver.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair and members. For the record, my name is Nikki Oliver, Director of Government Relations and Community Engagement for the Office of Higher Education, and I'll quickly walk through this policy bill for you all. Section 1 is the campus sexual misconduct, adding a grievance resolution process to that statute, 135A.15. You all heard Senator Port's bill, I believe it's Senate File 1035, which is more comprehensive and actually includes additional things that we would also want to incorporate in this statute. And I understand this is being laid over on the table, and that bill will be coming back here. Section 2 is adding definitions to terms that were used in that statute, and also when this statute for protections that institutions must provide for pregnant and parenting students, it was only including the public institutions. We are now adding the private institutions to those requirements. Section 3 is a consolidation of competitive grant and student loan repayment reporting. It essentially repeals the statute reporting requirements for them and create a single statute report for all of the competitive grants and a separate report for the student loan repayments. And then there are some programs that we have that don't require reports that will now collect some of that data and information. Section 4 and 5, we're adding the term accredited to where it says industry recognized credentials, degrees, and certificates. Section 6, for our planning information, we're removing the gathering of dual transfer credit information that is placed on our website. The reason being is that we would rather the students go to their actual institution's websites for that information, because they can get customized information specifically about their program. And if they have questions, they can get those answered there rather than our office's website. And then they don't have to see a delay if there's changes in the policy at their institution. They don't have to wait for OHE to then update their entire warehouse of that information either by going to their individual institutions. Section 7, we are putting in statute or clarifying in statute what eligible institution means for the spinal cord traumatic brain injury research grant. It is in the OHE's statute of 136A, and there's already a definition for eligible institutions, which are the post-secondary institutions. This program was not intended solely for post-secondary institutions, and that's how it's been operating. We just wanted to make that clear in the law. So we're not expanding eligibility to anyone else that doesn't already participate or are already eligible for the program. We just wanted to be clear in statute, kind of a cleaning up and clarification. Also for future, we run the program now, but for future, so everyone understands who is eligible. Lastly, we have some reports we're repealing. There are 3 reports that take time and effort on the part of OHE and research department staff that just provide limited information that isn't really useful or infrequently accessed by students, parents, and a higher ed institution and other stakeholders, specifically the study abroad report, transfer student report, and the dual credit exam-based acceptance. That information in those reports can also be found elsewhere. So yeah, we're removing these reports to free up and capacity for staff to do research and projects on more pressing matters as well. And then I think lastly, there is also some repeals of obsolete rules and some rules that conflict with statutes that were changed. So I think I'll leave it there if there's questions.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Oliver. I was just going through Section 3, and a bunch of programs were just combined into one report. Just can you speak a little bit more to that? Because I think a lot of them were unrelated, and I had questions asked to me about that.
Thank you, Chair. You're referring to the consolidation of reporting?
Yes.
Accurate. Yes, so I can also have the manager come and speak to that, but essentially, we are, again, removing the reference to reports, individual reports in statute, and then creating one report with the data that we already collect, so it's reported to you all and the public in like one report in a streamlined fashion. You could disaggregate it out for the individual reports. And again, there are programs that will be included in this one report that we don't do reports for. So we will also be adding some additional information that you all could receive. And if you want more details on how that would happen, I would pass it to the manager that actually oversees all of those programs if you like.
That's perfect. Thank you so much, Ms. Oliver. Senator Rarick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In regards to Section 6, where you're getting rid of the information that you would have on your website, will there be something that, whether it's a link or other information, to help folks figure out where to go to get that information now?
Ms. Oliver.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Senator Rarick. We could do that. I'm sure we could. I don't want to speak for our IT folks and our research staff, but we could probably do something like that or give guidance to direct students to where they should find that information.
Thank you. Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. Also referencing that appendix and some of the reports that are going to go by the wayside. Specifically, the student transfer reporting, and I know you said some of these might not necessarily go away entirely because there might be other places in which that information can be found. Do you know if that applies to the student transfer reporting by chance?
Ms. Oliver.
Thank you. I'm going to have to phone a friend on this one.
Well, welcome, Dr. Robinson. Introduce yourself for the record, please, and you may answer.
Hello, for the record, my name is Wendy Robinson. I'm the Assistant Commissioner for Programs, Policies, and Grants here at the Office of Higher Education. And the question was whether the information in the student transfer report would potentially live somewhere else or exist somewhere else. We are aware that the Minnesota State System Research Office is creating their own transfer report, and that would be likely to have much of the same, if not more information than our current report does. The current transfer report is a really narrow window to look at transfer. It's really looking at just between year 1 and year 2, and it's not in its current configuration something that would be particularly useful for enrollment management purposes or for student information around making transfer decisions. And so I think the types of questions that both students and institutions might have about transfer behavior will be found in other locations and in a more timely fashion.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Senator Duckworth.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. One follow-up, if I may, Mr. Chair, quickly. Also, on some of the reports being eliminated in the bill, there's one that relates to student loan debt counseling, another one on student shortage loan repayment program, dual training competency grants, and then intervention for college attendance program grants. Are some of these going away because the grant programs or the funds for them are going away? Or if you could just give me an idea as to why these ones in particular we're looking to do away with. And the reason I ask is if we're funding grant programs and requiring reports, usually it's so that we can look at the impact of that funding and whether or not we should continue with those grants or if they've been effective. And if we're without those reports in the future, that might impact our ability to make good, informed decisions. But if they're not necessary, they're not necessary. So that's why I ask.
Thank you, Ms. Oliver or Dr. Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Senator Duckworth. Just to clarify, while we'll be repealing the individual report requirements because they all have different due dates, we are recreating a report with all the same information for these programs. So they can be disseminated similarly across for every program with the same information. So also it makes it easier for you to compare two outcomes and have one due date as well for you all, so easy access. So we're not there, while we are repealing the individual reports in their statute, we're then recreating the reports in just one report, a consolidated report.
Well, I need a
yeah.
lot of clarity here. Did you just say you're doing things more efficiently as government? Let's go. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, I was going to say, you're my second favorite Duckworth. The other one, his name starts with a K, and he's won 5 Grammys. But
Any other questions from members? Seeing none, thank you. Commissioner Olson, welcome.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, members. Looks like I got the pause button already, so I'm going to
Okay. Yes,
quickly hand
Ms.
it over.
Oliver.
So this was just the policy bill. I think the commissioner's going to speak to the budget bill.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, okay,
Yep.
continue.
I'm done.
Are you done? Awesome. Are there any further questions from members? Thank you, Ms. Oliver. The bill is now laid over. Thank you. Welcome, Commissioner. We're now, go ahead. Thank you, Commissioner Olson. I believe we have the A3 amendment, so is it okay if I move that first and then, thank you. Senator Umuverbain moves the A3 amendment. All those in favor, say aye. Those opposed? The amendment is adopted. Commissioner, welcome.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Appreciate moving the amendment to get the bill in shape. I know there were some small errors with the appropriations and some other things that needed to be clarified regarding dates. So thank you for that. It'll make it easier to walk through the bill. I am going to talk just a bit about a couple of the governor's recommendations that do impact general fund, but primarily the governor's recommendations are all no cost or no impact to the state general fund and are just in the budget bill because they do deal with budget items. And so first and foremost, I know it's been a while, but I did in one of our agency overview presentations, I believe in late January, quickly preview this just for the information for the committee to have at the time, since we were discussing the situation of the state grant at the time. And so wanted to again revisit this, of course, in the context of the actual budget bill introduction here. And so for the Minnesota State Grant, again, in particular, the governor is proposing what we believe to be the most effective way to bring projected spending back within available appropriated resources and eliminate the need to ration state grant awards. So on the slide, I know it's a lot of information, but the top line there really is that the governor's proposing an adjustment to several of the state grant parameters, in addition to an investment, a recommended investment of $7.5 million a year, or $15 million over the biennium. And the proposal, also recommends changes to the agency's authority to reduce grant awards in the event of a projected program deficit. And so one of the key changes is to allow the agency to set a minimum parental contribution or student contribution of 0 when calculating the state grant awards, unless resources are projected to exceed spending. This change is in line with federal guidance for awarding aid. And so I know we've had a lot of conversations in committee, as well as conversations last year about the transition in the FAFSA from some calculation parameters, transition from the AGI to the SAI, the Student Aid Index. And so one of the pieces we're recommending is to get rid of, for the purposes of calculating state grant, the negative SAI in the FAFSA calculation. And I know I said AGI, I'm sorry, it's EFC, the expected family contribution is what it was known as prior, now SAI. And so that's a change that certainly has put a lot of pressure on the state grant program, forcing us to award additional resources to students that may trigger that negative SAI calculation. So the ability to set it to 0 there will help bring us in balance. In addition to that, The governor's recommending decreasing the living and miscellaneous expense allowance to 110% of the federal poverty guideline. Governor's also recommending increasing the assigned student responsibility to 51%. That's a 1% increase beginning in fiscal year 27. Also recommended increasing the assigned family responsibility, the AFR parameter, within the calculation to 100% of the federal need analysis for all families with a positive parental contribution or student contribution, beginning in fiscal 26. And I know there was conversations there. Just as a reminder, that is the differential for dependents, independents, as well as independents with dependents or student parents. This recommendation also would revert the deadline for state grant receipt to the 30th day of the term for which the student applies for aid. And again, it modifies language that governs how the agency would ration awards for the program when a program spending deficit is projected. So that is the recommended changes to state grant program. And then I did invite up here Mr. Wold to talk specifically through the changes to licensing and registration. But before he does, just a quick note on the bottom bullet there regarding the agency's operating adjustment. The governor is recommending additional funding on behalf of the agency of $162,000 in fiscal 26 and $328,000 in each subsequent year from the general fund to help address operating cost increases at the office. And probably goes without saying, but this funding will help cover expected growth in employee compensation and insurance, rent, IT services, as well as other operating costs. And then the kind of key item on this slide here, I'll hand over to Mr. Wold, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Wold. Please introduce yourself for the record.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Chair.
begin.
My name is Andrew Wold. I am General Counsel and Director of Compliance here at the Office of Higher Education, and I lead the Institutional Registration and Licensing Unit at OHE. The Licensing and Registration Division unit licenses and registers over 400 institutions and thousands of programs, from horseshoeing programs to doctorate-level engineering programs. We investigate student complaints, manage the state authorization reciprocity agreement, and set Minnesota standards for higher education. We do this with a staff of 3 people, and the lack of capacity in this work has been problematic for several years, and the proposed fee changes and modifications to the relevant acts will allow OHE to hire and retain a full-time academic program reviewer, and the efficiencies created within the acts will allow our small but mighty institutional registration and licensing team to do the work it needs to protect students, meet the institution's needs, and market demands for higher education programs and the workforce in general. That said, you should have a sheet in front of you that delineates the structural deficiencies we've been working under since 2017. We are at the need level here, critical level, to see these increases in fees. We're also simplifying the fee structure for institutions and revising what should be the workload based on what makes the most sense for a consumer protection division of the state. So I'm happy to walk through this line by line if you like, or section by section. Perfect. So section 16 increases the fees to participate in the state authorization reciprocity agreement. Section 17 amends the fees to the degree level, from the degree level to the full-time equivalent enrollment. It simplifies the increased fee revenues from registered institutions for initial applications and renewals. Section 18 adds a policy section to the Private Career School Act that was lacking before. It existed in the Minnesota Public and Out-of-State Private, Minnesota Private and Out-of-State Public Post-Secondary Education Act, and it was noted by a court that we did not have a policy section for the licensure for the Private Career School Act, and so we're adding that here. Section 19 and 20, those sections remove a lot of institutions and programs from the scope of the Minnesota Private Career School Act. You'll see those deletions later on, but we're adding those so that those exist outside of it. And a lot of these just didn't make sense in this act. For instance, the removal of public and private schools, home schools, governmental bodies from the definition of person, those were being treated as exempt institutions before, as if we were going to ask a governmental body to submit an application that we would review to see whether it's exempt, which just wasn't the case. And then also removes some institutions and programs from the definition of private career school in Section 20, which also, many of which have also historically been listed as under the exemption section of the Act, but are now being moved to be outside of the scope of the Act. For example, line 4010 is for schools that don't have any physical presence in Minnesota and are engaged exclusively in offering distance education. Those are SARA eligible institutions, and we have an entirely different process for those. There's no need for them to be treated as exempt institutions within the Act. And line, well, the paragraph right above it, line 40.6, that one is more for a policy reason that, you know, a business-to-business exemption, if a business is contracting with an institution to train its own employees, who's the consumer there that we're protecting? Presumably there's a savvy business person on one end of the negotiating table with the institution, and so it isn't like we're protecting students in that respect. And so that would remove some of the workload from our small unit. Sections 21 through 24 add definitions for vocational trade union, eligible training provider, and eligible training provider list. We worked closely with DEED on who is included in the eligible training provider list, and because of our unique capacity to review those programs, ensuring that they are qualified training providers who make it onto that list as federally mandated. Section 25 clarifies that it is the office that determines the unenforceability of the contract. Section 26 removes name-only institutions, so any institution that uses academy or institute in its name from being required to be licensed by the office. Section 27 changes a reasonable time to 60 days for refund timelines. Section 28 removes, again, the use of academy and institute from a reason for the need to license. It keeps participation in state financial aid programs and adds listing on the eligible training provider list as a reason for licensure. Section 29 and 30, those both simplify and increase the fees for licensure, initial licensure and renewal licensure. They simplify by creating one reason for renewal, or one fee for renewal, rather than having programs that can be added. And so an institution should know upfront what it's going to be paying every year for its renewal. Section 31 increases the fees for solicitors. Section 32 increases the fees for multiple locations. Section 33 is where you see a bulk of these changes around exemptions, and those are the deletions from, I mean, how many, I don't even know how many there were, 15 or so exemptions before. Now we're going down to 4, which makes a whole lot more sense. Some of those are for avocational programs. We're removing from the need for licensure any yoga or exercise and fitness teacher training schools, as those are primarily avocational. Most people who register for those programs are doing it for their own benefit rather than for the purposes of becoming a full-time professional yoga teacher. And we're increasing from 16 to 40 clock hours for an exemption. We're increasing the tuition minimum from $100 to $500, which is still very small when we're talking about the need for consumer protections, very low risk area. And for schools that enroll less than 10 students per year, increasing that to 3,000. Again, a very low risk with that small number of students annually. Section 34 removes private career school from religious schools. It should just, it treats them as institutions rather than listing them as private career schools. It's just kind of a technical change. And then Section 35, finally, it adds a timeline of 90 days for renewal applications rather than within a reasonable time. So just clarifying for institutions so they know better what they're in for.
Thank you, Mr. Walden. Mr. Wold, I'm sorry. Are there any questions from members? Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. Just a few in general. I'm looking at this sheet right here, just for everybody's reference. This one's got all these different fees and stuff on there. Can somebody just kind of explain to me conceptually what the gist of this document is? Are we reducing, reshuffling kind of fees a little bit? And at the end of the day, when you look at the difference in terms of the fees to be collected, are we looking at an increase? And if so, do we roughly know about how much more we're increasing fees in general?
Mr. Wold.
Chair Fateh, Senator Duckworth. Yeah, these graphs on here, they show what the current and what the proposed fees are. They change the fee structure for registered institutions so that they're not based on the program level. So smaller schools and bigger schools are not paying the same amount for a doctorate program or baccalaureate program or a certificate program, but they're paying for their actual institutional registration based on their enrollment size. Licensed schools, similarly, we're increasing those fees. We're going to be increasing fees for SARA institutions, SARA participating institutions. That's the State Authorization Reciprocity Agreement. All in all, I think the number around in here was around $341,000 in increased fees annually, and that will work to support the division, the work unit that we currently have, the staffing that we currently have, hopefully give us some technological upgrades in the future and one more full-time staff. So that we can do the important work of this unit. Like I said before, capacity issues within the unit of 3 staff have led to backlogs, as noted in here as well, in program reviews, in student complaint investigations, backlogs that have been standing for years in some cases. And so once, obviously, being fee increases, this isn't all going to be delivered to the office on July 1st, but it's going to be rolling in over the year, and we're going to be able to better gauge, and maybe next year, or well, probably not next year, but the following year we'll know better where the fees stand, and maybe we can lower some of those or raise some of them if we need to, again, in order to keep the capacity that we need to actually do the work that we do. When we've talked to institutions around this, every institution has been supportive because they know what it's like to wait to have a program that they want to start in the fall, have to be put off to the next year. And so they're consistently saying, yes, we would rather pay more and get that approval or work with you to get the approval so that we can start that program to meet student demand and workforce needs. And this would allow us to do so. As you can see in that top section, we have been working at a structural deficit since 2017. This is the year that we hit 0.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And then can somebody give me a more holistic understanding in regard to the changes to parameters for the state grant? What exactly is changing, what the impact is to students, to families, and how much state grant they're likely awarded? And more so, before we even get into that, help me understand contextually why we're even looking to make some of these parameter changes. Remind me and my colleagues up here kind of what we experienced as it relates to the state grant most recently this last summer and why we're even looking at adjusting some of these parameters, please.
Mr. Wold. Oh, Commissioner.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Duckworth. I asked our Director of Research, Carrie Schneider, to join us here to walk through. I will just say before she starts, we are essentially out of options. And what the governor's recommendations do, although we are in a really unique spot right now, of course, with off the charts enrollment increases, which we celebrate, but of course put tremendous pressure on the state grant. We've had to, I don't think it's any secret here to any of the members, we've had to introduce some significant and frankly at times drastic rationing provisions just to be able to make sure that we stay within appropriations. We don't have the ability to spend outside of what's appropriated. We don't have the ability to tap a special revenue account or an emergency fund. And so there are only certain statutory levers that we're able to access to be able to bring the program in balance. And, that means adjusting some of these parameters here. And so, what the governor's recommendations do as a whole is, of course, invest a little bit of additional resources there. If you look at the projections document from our most recent public projections in February, $7.5 million a year is not $130 million a year that, gets us out of the hole. And so, we have to continue to rely on some of those provisions, some of those adjustments for rationing, just to be able to bring the program in balance, even with the additional investment. And so it's kind of continuing those there, which does frankly, result in fewer students accessing the state grant at a reduced amount, but that allows us to stay within the appropriation from the legislature. And I'll, Mr. Chair, hand it over to Ms. Schneider.
Thank you, Chair Fateh and Senator Duckworth. My name is Carrie Schneider. I'm the Research Director at the Office of Higher Education. Not entirely sure how far to go back to answer some of your questions, because there are a lot of questions there. Did you want kind of an overview of how we got into this situation? Was that one of your questions?
Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That would be helpful. I'm not looking to go back any further than probably last summer when it actually kind of became a little bit of an issue that had to get resolved. Thank you.
Ms. Schneider.
Thank you, Chair Fateh and Senator Duckworth. So as Commissioner Olson mentioned, some of the challenges with the state grant stemmed from the changes to the FAFSA needs analysis formula. Those parameters and the actual calculation, how to do it, were released fairly late. And so our projections leading up to until we had that information weren't projecting spending as high. And then once we got that information, then our November projections reflected that change. But also the other two pieces that contributed to the situation that we're in is enrollment increased more than anticipated. We don't project enrollment for the institutions. We get those numbers from the institutions. And so from the time we were first doing our projections for fiscal year 24 and 25, institutions were projecting, I think, flat to like 2% change during that time period. And where we actually landed for fiscal year 25, I think it ranged from 2 to 7%. And then what we saw from the report from the National Student Clearinghouse was that enrollment in Minnesota increased by 18,000 from fall of 23 to fall of 24. So just very large increases in enrollment, and then also increases in tuition and fees. So all of those things led to just more demand for the state grant program. So.
Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. I'll just end with a comment, which is the last couple of years we talked about how rather than committing a bulk of financial resources to the state grant program, the more we sort of partitioned it out, the more likelihood it was going to be that some students and families would end up having to pay more, or there wouldn't be as much to go around. And so I think this is going to be a critical year in which, whether it's this bill or a bill that's similar or influenced by what the governor's proposed, and once we have targets, all that fun stuff, where we're going to have to get very, very serious about, number one, a conversation as it relates to parameters, and number two, about the different buckets we're going to fund, and whether or not the people and students and families of Minnesota are going to get more bang for their buck, so to speak, if we put it into the state grant that everybody can kind of access and utilize fairly, or if we continue to kind of partition it out and have some programs maybe, for lack of a better term, come at the expense of others. And so I just offer that not to be critical, but to acknowledge the fact that OHE and our schools and our students are all feeling a pinch right now. Some of it for a good reason. More people in college is a good thing. but we owe it to taxpayers, those students and families, to make sure the resources that we're expending or setting aside for the state grant can go the furthest for as many students as possible. And I hope that continues to be a guiding principle of the conversations we have in this committee and at the state level as we, come up with the budget from here and what's likely going to be the foreseeable future. Thank you.
Senator Umar Vervaeten.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just while we're on the state grant, I thought I would offer up a few comments. I've talked about this in a few of our previous committees. I am frustrated by the changes to assign family responsibility, but I also want to acknowledge that, I think OHE's in a tough position because of the policy choices that we've already made in the past. And I also disagree with those because we have essentially been subsidizing these private universities for years. And it's been at the expense of our public schools. I think this is a critical moment that we're in right now to decide how we're gonna move forward. And I think in a lot of ways, the decision in the past has been let the money move with the student. But that's been at the expense of having very affordable public universities. And I think it would be one thing if we already fully funded our public universities. And then we had this additional money and we wanted to figure out what was the best way to use that and to send that to our students with the greatest needs. But that's just not the situation we're in. And so because we have made this policy decision to subsidize these private universities and to use these vouchers, we are now having to make these really devastating cuts that are disproportionately going to impact students who are independent and students who have children themselves. And so I would really like us to think about taking a different path and really go all in on having affordable public universities and looking at the tuition and fees that we have. Another point that I want to make is we have a cap right now at the University of Minnesota tuition rate, right? Like our highest public university. The University of Minnesota has to do a lot. They are an R1 institution. So they are doing, the academics, they're doing the research, they have extension. I don't think that's comparable to a lot of our private universities. And so I have, again, the proposal on the table to cap that down to the min-state level. That is one option. I think we're going to have to look at a number of options here in this committee. But I think it's important to make that point that there's just a number of other things that are happening at our research university that are not happening in our private universities. And our public schools are really struggling right now. They have crumbling infrastructure, which we should also be supporting. I think they also are disproportionately serving our students with the greatest needs. And we see that when we look at Pell eligibility, and we see that when we look at the requests that they have for us around wraparound services and basic needs and what it takes to support the students who come in. And that's how we're gonna meet our attainment goals, is by supporting those students. And they are best equipped to do so. So I just think this high tuition, high aid model is unsustainable. I'm so frustrated by it. And I think this is the year where we need to make some serious changes and think about a different policy decision moving forward.
Thank you, Senator Umar Vervaeten. Is there any response before I move on? Any other questions from members? I have a couple of questions. So on the same sheet that Senator Duckworth was alluding to, I'm looking at the operating expenses, and it seems to fluctuate year to year by a lot. Can you speak to that, about that fluctuation?
Mr. Chair, another phone a friend,
No worries.
our CFO, Pao Yang.
Thank you. Welcome. Please introduce yourself for the record, and you may respond.
Mr. Chair, members, my name is Pao Yang, CFO for the Office of Higher Education. I apologize, but taking a look, I don't have the exact details, but it's certainly something that I can dig into and provide.
Awesome. No worries. Thank you. Another question I had during the presentation was how does licensing and registration conduct oversight and assess program quality of the out-of-state institutions that are offering online courses?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's done through the State Authorization Reciprocity Agreement. So Minnesota is a member, and we are the state portal entity. The Office of Higher Education is the state portal entity for SARA. And so any out-of-state institutions that participate in SARA are able to offer distance education in Minnesota. For those that are not participating in SARA, like California institutions, those have to register through our office, through our traditional registration process. So, you know, a University of California school would have to send in a registration application and go through the same process that any other registered school within the state would have to go through.
And does the agency have any recourse to enforce violations that may occur?
For those schools that are not part of SARA, we have the same recourse that we would have for any other institution that is registered. Otherwise, if it is a SARA participating institution, we would have recourse through SARA.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions from members? Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. Just one more. This is on page 32, starting at line 32.3. It talks about resident tuition, and it goes on to say the Board of Regents of the University of Minnesota is requested to adopt a policy to charge resident tuition rates for all students eligible for North Star Promise. And then just below that, it says the Board of Trustees of Minnesota State Colleges and Universities must adopt a policy to charge resident tuition rates for all students eligible for North Star Promise. And I guess my question is, and maybe we just have to clarify the law, aren't students who are eligible for and taking advantage of North Star Promise already required to be Minnesota residents?
Commissioner Olson.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Senator Duckworth, maybe this is a good opportunity for me to jump into the final couple of slides I have, which do address, hopefully, Senator, your question about the differences in how resident is interpreted there. So, Mr. Chair, if that's okay, I proceed. Thank you. So you'll see the North Star Promise changes there being kind of the third bold. Did want to address the top two first and then get there to the senator's question. So first on this slide, the governor's proposing to modify the current Tribal College Supplemental Grant Assistance Program appropriation by incorporating $3 million each fiscal year in existing legislatively named grants into the formula-funded Tribal College Supplemental Assistance Grant Program. And we feel this more meets the legislative intent to get operations and maintenance funding that was appropriated to the tribal colleges in '23 directly to them in a more efficient and administratively, I guess, beneficial manner. The current Tribal College Assistance Grant Program, just to familiarize you with, is $150,000, so $50,000 essentially per tribal college. This sets a new funding floor of $1 million for them and a ceiling of $1,050,000. So they essentially will be guaranteed to meet the legislative intent, their operations and maintenance funding, and then will be eligible for additional funds for the non-beneficiary students under the existing program. So Senator Duckworth, to your earlier comment, creating some efficiencies here. The second item there is a modification, a no cost, no general fund impact proposal to the Emergency Assistance Grant Program, or EAPS. The governor is recommending essentially a direct line appropriation to the University of Minnesota, as well as a direct appropriation to the Minnesota State Colleges and Universities, again, to allow them to more efficiently administer those funds through their existing programs. Right now, those two appropriations do travel through the office. We would still retain the grant program for or on behalf of the private colleges as well as tribal colleges. But just again, in name of efficiency, making sure that those funds get to those public systems more quickly. And then, Mr. Chair and Senator Duckworth, to your question, there are two changes to the North Star Promise statutes that the governor is recommending. The first is to eliminate instances where North Star Promise is paying for out-of-state tuition. And then second, to eliminate instances where North Star Promise is paying for courses that are ineligible for financial aid. And so, the North Star Promise program is calculated based on actual tuition and mandatory fees charged by an institution. And there are differences in the definition of resident tuition. There are situations where the program is paying for higher non-resident rates. The University of Minnesota Twin Cities campus estimates there's instances that could cost the North Star Promise program about $1 million annually, and the cost at Minnesota State estimated about $1.58 million annually. And so the governor's proposing this change in order to clarify what Minnesota resident is. So the definition of a resident at the University of Minnesota is up to however the Board of Regents determines resident. Similarly, for the Minnesota State College and Universities, up to the Board of Trustees. We take resident as the statutory definition for purposes of all state financial aid. So we want to apply that same resident definition, Senator Duckworth, that I believe you're alluding to the North Star Promise program as well, and make sure that there isn't a differential or, a different interpretation of resident based on how the public systems determine that. We want to make sure it's consistent across the board through all financial aid programs.
Thank you, Commissioner. What are some examples of courses that are not supposed to be eligible to be covered under the North Star Promise?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. To the best of my knowledge, there are courses where a student could potentially be eligible, but they have already completed all the necessary requirements to be awarded a baccalaureate degree, and they could still have courses that are eligible, but for purposes of them completing a degree, they are no longer eligible for receipt of North Star Promise. And so those courses wouldn't be, no longer eligible for North Star Promise calculation because they essentially have earned a baccalaureate degree, and that is one eligibility criteria for the program.
Thank you, Commissioner. Are there any other questions from members? Senator Utke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I've got just a follow-up to that residential question. And just for clarity there, currently, we've got our neighboring states. Is there a reciprocity? So if they're coming from a neighboring state, they're going to come in and they would qualify for the North Star?
Commissioner Olson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, Senator Utke. So they have to meet the resident definition of a Minnesota resident within statute to be eligible for North Star Promise. And so they're, and maybe Andrew help me, but they wouldn't be eligible as an out-of-state student attending under reciprocity, under interstate tuition reciprocity agreement. They'd be paying the in-state rate or the negotiated rate depending on which reciprocity agreement they're coming from, whether it's Minnesota to Wisconsin or Minnesota to North Dakota or the community college in Iowa or Manitoba. There's all different negotiated rates there, but they would essentially be paying that rate, not eligible for North Star as an out-of-state student.
Okay.
Thank you. Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. I don't want to belabor the point, but I think that's why I was kind of surprised to see it in here, because I thought we had this discussion last go-around about how we were going to tie it to the definition of resident, which was Minnesota state statute. And so if for some reason that didn't happen, I do appreciate the effort to circle back and make sure that is what we're abiding by, because I think it was pretty clear that if it's Minnesota taxpayer dollars are going to help Minnesota residents or Minnesota students and Minnesota families. And so if there is a case in which that's not happening or tax dollars are being utilized on folks other than Minnesotans, that's definitely a loop that we need to close unless there's some other good reason for it. So thank you.
Any other members? Seeing none, Commissioner Olson, any closing comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry,
Oh,
just.
I'm sorry, you have more, so I apologize. Go
Yep, no,
ahead.
one more quick thing to note here about the, again, no cost recommendation from the governor regarding the Minnesota self-loan. And so here the governor's recommending an increase in the amount reserved for student loan bonds from $10 million to $25 million per year, and the agency's tax exempt allocation in the small issue pool. And so, again, this is, no pun intended, self-funded program. This does not impact the state general fund at all, but this is funded by the sale of bonds, and so our ability to access more, I guess, ability within the revenue cap does save students money. So we want the opportunity to do that within the statutory language. And then there are some other small technical recommendations to clarify statutory language, and that, Mr. Chair, will conclude all the provisions within the governor's budget bill. And just thanks again for the opportunity to be in front of you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Are there any final questions from members? Seeing none, thank you so much, Commissioner, for the presentation. Thank you so much. And with no further business,